when I told Joe that he was going to be interim chief, I said, "Don't turn the place upside down." But I think he took it to a new level. So
Okay, call this council regular session to order, Wednesday, July 18th. Time is 7:02. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first on our agenda is swearing in of new municipal court judge Amy Lindgren.
I state your name,
I, Amy Lindgren,
being duly sworn,
being duly sworn,
depose and say
depose and say
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of Oregon,
of the State of Oregon,
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of municipal court judge
the duties of municipal court judge
of the City of St. Helens
of the City of St. Helens
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding
and understanding
during my term of office,
during my term of office,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Signature there. I guess we'll give you that one as a copy,
Great.
and this one we'll give to you. You wanna go ahead and, I guess
Okay.
let's go ahead and sign both of them, that way in
Yeah.
case you feel like framing it. It's got
Thank you.
signatures on it. There you go.
Thank you. Should we stand to the right, or we don't want to
Yeah.
block our?
Oh, yes, you do.
maybe she was saying she didn't want us in the background.
Yeah.
All the pictures? Congratulations, good luck.
Amy.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate the opportunity to trust.
You're welcome, and thank you for introducing me to your.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And a musical intro.
Yep.
I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah. Okay, our interim chief has our interim chief over there, Joe Hogue, has been with the city for 20 continuous years of public service, and I have a certificate for him.
Thank you, Joe. Much appreciation. That's a good rally squad.
So I think we need to see about getting these guys to actually really play this song maybe on the last 13 nights or second to the last 13 nights. Maybe something to think about. I'm putting another challenge out there for you guys. If you can accept, you don't have to. Think about it. We know we got a couple musicians.
They're feeling the pressure.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Hogue. Okay. So, visitor comments. Now's the time if you want to come up and state your name, please.
My name's Russ Lowe. I'm here tonight to ask for consistent and timely enforcement of the state regulations concerning the Sand Island docks and the city docks. I've routinely witnessed recently, usually the same group of boats overstaying by significant amounts. There's currently a boat that's been tied up at the North City docks, North Sand Island docks for 5 weeks at least. We noticed it 5 weeks ago, and they're living on the island. I've been in regular communications with St. Helens Police Department on this, and so far, as of tonight, he's still there. They're living on the island. I work in Southwest Portland, and I drive by Ross Island every day. And any of you who drive by that area
No.
have noticed that there is probably 40 to 50 boats that are permanently moored, beached, half sunk, and occupying the area. And I heard last night that there's a plan underway to get those boats moved out. And if we're not timely with the enforcement here, it's only a matter of time before they're coming this way.
Yep.
I'll relate this before I end. Last summer, my wife and I were in Astoria, and we met a couple who came down in about a 40-foot motor yacht. And on their way down, they had stayed at City Docks the night before, and we talked to them about it. And they said, this is our last time staying at City Docks because I think many of you are aware of the mess we had down here last year. I'll concede that it's far better than it was last year, but you see those people, the same people creeping back in again, and if we don't stay on top of it in a consistent manner, it's going to go right back to that. That's all I've got.
So, comment on that is we're in the process of actually trying to, Brad down here, the owner of St. Helens Marina, is trying to, want to take over control kind of the island and
Develop.
will give us a chance to not only, better police the docks. We were talking about, many different ways of policing that we could actually enforce and make it, the laws are there, but we don't have a police boat right now.
Right, and so I've been in regular contact with Officer Hartless with St. Helens Police, and he indicated that he didn't have a means to get over there. What would that take to get them over there?
It's in the process right
Yeah.
now. So as
We're
I
working
brought it up in my report today about where we are on that process, and we are just about there. Once we
Real close.
sign, then that island, I will tell you, will be entirely secure. It will be run like a state park, as well as the 3 docks on a daily basis with the boat. That also includes a bit of a ferry service for people who want to go over just for a day and come back, or if you're over there and need a ride, Brad should be around to facilitate that. He's also saving the city approximately $28,000 to $30,000 worth of maintenance fees of us going over and working with that island, getting it in shape, and cleaning up the mess left behind by some boaters and people who are living there. That isn't that you. Whenever that goes forward, and whenever we can get into that agreement, you'll see a huge change.
Well, I hope you're right.
Well, what I appreciate is you forewarning us too,
Yes.
because if they're getting ready
Yes.
to do something up there, because it is
they're
very
coming
bad
this-
up at Ross
coming this
Island.
way.
Yes.
In fact, the gentleman who, we were speaking with the sheriff the other day, and the gentleman who was banned from coming back here, that term is going to expire here pretty soon. He's going to be eligible to come back. And that was one of the linchpins of all the trouble last year.
Okay.
Well, thank you for keeping us on point and
So what you're
focused.
telling me is you're going to have routine or daily marine patrols? The city will have a boat?
It'll be
Won't be us.
well, yes. He'll be using the city boat facility. It's kind of like a barge in a sense to get back and over to do maintenance work and to monitor the island. So, are you thinking about it like a world-class boat? No.
No, just a means to have routine enforcement.
So we can charge up to $2 a night and still be under the state marine, and we let Brad know that if for day use, there isn't much we can do. People can pull in, pull out. for
In reading
days.
the recently adopted regulations, I see that there is provisions for charging a fee for all of these docks. Is that in effect right now?
No, it's not in effect right now.
Is there plans to do that?
Yes.
That's the idea, yes. And Brad would actually take over more of the writing the numbers down and kind of relieve Heartless, who would still be accountable because it is our jurisdiction. and he's back here.
Will that fee apply to the city docks proper as well?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
All three docks
All right.
on the same evening or in the same afternoon or in the same morning.
Yep.
All right. All right, thank you.
I should probably share that
Because you've been a little bit more
we
involved.
recognize that this is an issue, and there's a lot of moving parts to it and some variables. I've reached out to the Transient Boater Task Force in Portland to address some of those Ross Island issues, and you know, 4 years ago they were meeting and they had no tools. They couldn't do anything. In that time, they've developed and they have a strategy. They're starting to work. The Marine Board's putting money into it as far as these derelict vessels and having a buyback program for some of these things rather than people living on them. We've been in contact with the Marine Board on some of these code changes we want to do on the docks. There's still issues in our code about camping on the island. So these people get dropped off and they live on the island, and you can stay there for 10 days. But you know, they stack that up against a month and they're there for a long
I
time.
can tell you that somebody's been there for 5 weeks right now, tied up every night.
We know.
Yep.
One of the things that's has made a difference and is going to make a difference is people like you who come forward, give your testimony. You are another pair of eyes that tell us what's going on. Tony back at the marina has testified for starting last year, I believe, about all the thievery and all those kinds of issues that they have down at the marina. And that's why Brad is stepping forward to help facilitate that. But it's going to be full circle the way we see it. He's going to help the city out. It's going to hopefully clean up the area for everyone and possibly welcome everyone to our community.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was Russ, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks,
Russ.
Russ.
Other visitor comments?
I just want to follow up on his.
Okay.
My name's Tammy Blakely. Tammy Blakely. We all know Brad. But I want to state that it's not going to be Brad dealing with that stuff. It's going to be Tony who works at the store and I that work at the store in the summer. As it stands right now, all we can do is call the police or whatever and try to get something done. But when we talk to the sheriff or we talk to police, when they come in, the state police, they all say it's somebody else. That's fine. I don't.
You have our 100% full support. We will have an officer down there to, if you feel any way threatened or anything that you are going to approach a guy that you've had to deal with that's
Okay, but
hostile.
you guys are talking like everything's going to change once Brad runs the island. And if we don't know who to call right now as just not running the island people, who, you guys are talking about like Brad's going to save the day, but we still need somebody to call because I'm not going over. We got a call this weekend about a camper. They call the store because they don't know who else. A group was camping. The tweaker from that camp that's been there at the end
Yeah.
came to their camp with a screwdriver and a mask on, and he started stabbing the ground around their campsite. It totally freaked him out. Same weekend, this last weekend, someone else from that tweaker site bartered a stack of store-bought wood for a beer from just people that were camping. Somebody from another camp came and said, "Where'd you get that wood? Because I think that guy stole my wood." So, I mean, there's this stuff going on, and all of a sudden, Tony and I are supposed to take care of that?
No.
No,
That's
no.
like, you
not
know,
yet.
and
Lieutenant
I
Hogue,
just want to be
I have
sure.
a boat that's moored. If we want to go, maybe take 3 or 4 officers over there and do maybe a sweep of the island.
We actually did one today.
Did you?
Heartless and Sergeant got a ride with Brian Pixley, who kind of dusted off his.
But I'm thinking a full sweep might be able to cover all the because there's so many trails for somebody to slip behind and stuff. There's a lot of different areas that are out of the way. It's a pretty big island.
Yeah, and the people that stay there that camp there or bring their boats, they're not going to call the police over a stack of firewood. They just won't come back.
Yeah.
They'll just go somewhere else.
So if the mayor doesn't pick up, call me, because I've got a boat down there as well.
you do.
Mine's faster than his.
I
I
mean,
get over there
we
faster.
could take them over.
It's 5 miles an hour, Doug, no matter how you look at it.
You got a red
breaking-
light?
But the city, whatever he's got, says that anyone could go over. It doesn't have to be city police. So I don't know, the thing that was adopted in May of this year says that city police, sheriff,
They
state
should all be able,
police, they could
absolutely, they all have
do it.
jurisdiction. They can. I don't know why they're saying they're pointing the finger at other
Sounds like we
people.
have
It
to have a
sounds-
conversation.
We will fix
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So that needs to be
That's all.
addressed because we need to really be a cohesive bunch and be consistent. So that's probably something we need to look at.
I
In the
mean,
tops
the-
is
A
getting
friend of
together
mine
with the
from work
Marine
was over
Patrol
there on the
at
island,
the
the
county
guy with the screwdriver.
and just say, hey, we have these
She said
ordinances.
she wanted to swim back.
If we have to make
Yeah,
an
I'm not
ordinance,
scared.
if we have to make an ordinance, we need to look at that a little closer. If we have to make an ordinance to let the Marine Patrol know at the county level that we have these ordinances and that is under our jurisdictions. And if you guys feel that that's happening,
Tammy.
to go ahead.
What does-
And so, once this gets going, okay, we expect you in council chambers here if anything goes wrong. Matter of fact, if a lot of things are going right, we'd like to see you as
Yeah,
well.
as well, yep.
So we look forward to partnering with you on that. Like we
It's real
said,
close. It's real close.
like we said, it's just about there.
Okay, but there shouldn't necessarily be a gap of enforcement just because
No,
the
no, no.
running of the park is changing hands.
we'll get over there and see
The
what's
rules are the
going on.
rules.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for coming in. We do need to hear from you.
Okay, other visitor comments?
How you doing?
Good.
My name's Dennis Lyle. I'm a tenant and an owner.
Yep.
And a landlord at the St. Helens area. It's important to me that the people who rent from me and that I as a renter is protected from these incidents that these folks are talking about. I've lived here 50 years. I've been on the water my whole life, and I've seen the things come and go, but this is the worst that I've seen in recent history. As an investor, it's important to me that if I'm going to invest my dollars in the lower part of St. Helens, which I see a small opportunity here to see things change, that I want to continue to do that. If not, I'm, along with other people I know, will pull back because if we don't have the safety in our city or on our waterways that we need to keep our people protected in all ways, immediately, not just now. I mean, the concern now is if someone calls today, who's going to respond to that? So it's important to me that the voices here tonight are heard because it's very important to all of us that we have a safe community to live in.
Loud and clear. I mean, everybody should feel safe on that island. It's meant for everyone to enjoy, not
That's right.
for a certain few to think they own and to run amok.
Yeah.
That's going to stop.
Right on. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, other visitor comments?
So, my name's Rocky Allen, and I'm an owner of property off of Furlock, and we're looking to rezone it from R7 to city commercial, highway commercial, whatever the technical term is. My wife and I have been a part of this community for 20 years, and so we're looking to put some kind of a business. We haven't decided what yet. We have a few ideas running through our heads, but so we're just looking to get it rezoned.
So what happened is I was talking to them, oh, there they are. And they called City Hall and someone told them it started at 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
So they ended up
forgot
getting
that.
here late. And so I told him, he could at least introduce himself.
yep.
The public hearing's closed, so if you wanted, official testimony, we may have to do some formalities, but if you just want to put a face, without adding anything to the record, we're probably okay.
I really don't think it was needed. I mean, do you, anybody here on this council feel though it was needed? We had a recommendation, I think. We can't deliberate right now, but it's coming up real soon.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Right.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Ryan Laird. I was here last year regarding this water quality report that we send out yearly. I received another one in the mail this year at the same first-class postage rates. And I was told that you guys have some sort of discount program in place for the postage on these mailers. And I was curious what rate of postage you guys are paying for these mailers, if anyone here has.
Matt around?
Person with the answers left the chair.
The judge.
Yeah, he's with the judge. So I have a little bit of information here. So, and I think you might have got some of this. This was last year when you came to us.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Okay,
That'd be-
well, so it says a gentleman came last meeting, talked about the costs associated with distributing the water quality report. We spend about 1,100 to have them printed at Bemis. About 2 hours of staff time folding and labeling them, and then about 2,100 to mail them. He contracted Metro Presort, who prints our mailings and utility bills, to get an estimate to keep printing them at Bemis and include them in the Metro Presort mailing would cost about $455.
Right.
And then it says the gentleman who came to the meeting would charge us $1,002. This is on your stuff last year. So it was $455. You were going to charge $1,002, and then it says Mayor Scholl agreed that it makes sense for Metro Presort to take over the distribution of this because that's who we were using already.
So Metro Presort mailed these out this last year? These water quality reports?
No, those were still sent out our old way. What I had realized when after I'd emailed you, after we went through the whole process of getting a quote from you, getting a quote from Metro Presort, the biggest obstacle we have with Metro Presort is that report has to be in an 8.5 by 11 page.
Right.
So it takes a lot of reformatting. Either we have to pay somebody to do that, or we have to do it in-house, which is honestly likely our communications officer who's stretched thin, or myself. So we just did not have the time this past year to really dig into it. It wasn't high on the
We might have
priority
gone,
list.
like, veered off onto different topics at some point, because what I was trying to present last time I came in here was us providing the mailing services for this currently as it exists. And the difference in postage would be significant for this piece. Right now, well, this is the this is the mailing that went out on 6/27, and it was $2,094.67. Each piece was going out at 45.3 cents. That's been updated now with current postage rates to 45.8, so a minimal increase. But we're comparing that to what could be 22 to 24.3 cents a piece, literally cutting the postage for the job in half. So you'd be saving somewhere between
About a little over
$994 and $1,100 in postage, and that for our cost on the mailing, it would be $462. I have an official estimate I had written up today.
Correct.
So-
And what we had realized when we got the quote from Metro Presort, I don't know how far you've gotten in the discussion, so I apologize for.
Not very. I just I read the highlighted. Yeah.
So the Metro Presort quote was for roughly about $455, I think it was. Is that what it says?
Yep,
in
that's
the
what it
notes?
says.
And that is basically just including it in our utility billing insert, which doesn't raise our postage rate. We actually can include up to about 5 pages before it affects our postage rate.
So that's still the plan moving forward, is to
That is
include
the-
it in the utility bill.
Yes,
It
that
just
is the
didn't happen
plan.
This last year.
Yeah, it just didn't happen this year. On far as my priority list and it being on the list for our communications officer who does a lot of the photo editing and all that kind of stuff, it just never got on our list. It never got done.
For what it's worth, I also noticed that the only job on the St. Helens permit 58 is this job. That's the only job that's sent out under that permit at the St. Helens Post Office. So the postage savings versus a full rate stamp, which would be 50 cents, it's a savings of about $190, and the cost of the permit is $225. So you guys are paying $30 to to not use a stamp. And that's been that way since as far back as I could recall. It was 2004 from what was available online. So this excess spending in regards to postage has been happening since at least 2004. So I'm glad that it's being taken care of in the utility bills. I'd hope to see that happen next year. If not, I'd be more than happy to cut the postage in half for you guys.
Yes.
Because it's pretty discouraging, I think, to see the water rates increase and see postage wasted.
Correct.
In
And,
this sort of manner.
and keep in mind, even if we were to continue doing it the way we were, we spend about $3,200 altogether between the Bemis printing and doing everything pretty much in-house other than going out and mailing it. But out of a $6 million budget, or $8 million budget that we have in the water, and then another 6 or 8 million in the sewer fund, so you're looking at 15, 16 or so million between all of our enterprise funds.
Right.
But just water, it's probably around 6 to 8. $3,200 is not a significant savings. And I apologize on at least my behalf for it not getting to that priority
that's
list
fine.
of getting
I mean,
done.
I wasn't concerned so much with us getting the work. If you wanted somebody else to do it, I'd be happy to refer somebody. But just even though it doesn't seem, it probably seems like small potatoes when you're dealing with such a big budget, a lot of people don't have the means to deal with that sort of number. You know, they're looking at that increase that's been in place.
Correct.
And it affects their household significantly. So when they see that, when they see this piece come in the mail, and they go,
Which is by
full
state
rate.
law, we have to do that, because I read your post, and I seen people were saying, why don't you just put it in the paper? It's
Well, no,
got,
no,
it's
I
got, it's
wasn't
got to be a
saying
while.
that, but
No, but there was a lot of
What
people
is,
that,
what is the state law requirement?
yeah, annual water report.
Right, but it doesn't have to go full rate first class. It can go pre-sorted standard because there's no account information or anything of a private nature. It's a newsletter type of submission.
It's probably, it probably is easier for, I don't know, residents of 97051 to be able to just pump that, and it feeds all of those addresses that are on the mailing, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't micromanage. I just sit up here and try to. That's why I didn't have all the information for you, because I don't.
It's fine. I appreciate
Yes,
you getting
yes.
it for me. It's just, I think the way it's been for the last 14 years could have been done so much better, and that's what I was trying to shed a light on. The utility statements that are going out, those are pre-sorted first class? Metro Presort?
I believe so. They're done through Metro Presort in Portland through a contract.
And so if that piece is added into that statement, will that push the piece over 1 ounce? weight?
From what I was told when we got the quote last year, and I wouldn't reviewed it again because I knew you might be coming, was that we can include up to 5 additional pages of information without it affecting any kind of mailage or posting rate.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great news then. If that can work out, I hope that happens.
So we'll
That's a
actually be
big-
saving money once we get flipped over to that new method, but it was an oversight.
Correct. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
it
kind
never
of.
got onto. I never
Great.
got onto talking with Crystal to see if she had any capacity to help with this. I know Howie, who does the report, has done that format for so many years, and
Right.
it's just the way he's been doing it. So it's
So
just a
this
matter
time
of
next year,
getting.
we should plan on seeing this report inside the utility.
Yeah, it's a
bill.
matter of making the time to get with everybody in Public Works Department to do what they need to do on their end to help with the reformatting process.
Yeah,
Right.
a
And
whole
sending
team.
it first class, the post office gives it a priority that it doesn't have when it's,
So just to,
regarding
discounted.
this
Yeah.
piece.
so Ryan, so
or anything,
and also so you know that this is going to save us money. What we're also going to have to do is probably go through a whole bunch of different staffing and stuff like that, which actually to get everybody in order is going to be, they could be doing other things, but we'll get this addressed. We will get this.
What about people that don't receive current utility statements like a monthly? Would it go to every water account?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
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 Because right now with those paper labels, if somebody moves, it's forwarded to their new address, even though they're no longer at that address. Like you were saying, they give priority to first class, but often with unintended consequences like that. Like somebody moves to Florida and gets a St. Helens Water Department report. That's mail that shouldn't go out.
you can put a
So that
request
it
on
costs
it.
money to print it, costs money to send it out.
Yep.
It's
if there's a
I
change
think
of
it would be
address.
managed better.
I can't remember what it's called.
I'm sure Sherry has that information. She's the one in Public Works who,
Yeah.
really does peel and stick every single one, takes out any duplicates, all that manual
Oh,
stuff.
she actually takes out duplicates?
Oh yeah, yeah. 'Cause
Really?
We have a lot of
She
accounts
actually
that
looks at
have
every one of
multiple
them.
water accounts, but they go to one address. So
Yeah.
she takes the time.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. is
Address correction,
Because
that's what it is.
the postage statement that I have here has a move update method section in here, which is required by the post office, especially for pre-sorted first-class
Yep.
mail.
Okay.
This is not being utilized. So we are not meeting federal standards currently, or for the past at least 14 years doing this mail.
I'm not 100% clear on that, and to be honest with you, I haven't dealt with the post office in this particular mailing. That's been a Public Works and a Sherry, who's the Public Works admin assistant that does that. I know she had mentioned when I talked to her over email and on the phone, and I think Rick has that email on the very back page that was from Sherry, that does kind of explain. And I'm not 100% clear on how this works, so so bear with me. But she seems to explain it as the rate that you're seeing that it supposedly we paid is not what we actually paid.
Yeah, that's federal guidelines not being met. If you're claiming one rate, or designing mail to go out at one rate and then
Correct.
claiming another.
Yeah, and I would need to follow up with Sherry
I would
before
encourage
we
you
do
all
anything.
to look into that,
to
because
look at
those are federal standards that are being, that need to be met, and if they're being kind of fudged here at a local level, the thing is, the mail clears in St. Helens, and since it says St. Helens on the piece, you think it would stay local. It doesn't. They
Yeah.
accept
Mm-hmm.
it in St. Helens, and it goes to Portland for processing.
Yep.
Right.
Then Portland does all the work, and then funnels it back to St.
Right.
Helens. If you were to take this directly to Portland, they would not accept this piece. It doesn't meet guidelines as it is right now. So, I mean, worst case scenario, they could look over this account and then bill you the correct rate for the last 14 years. I don't know if the records go back that far, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because I know, again, it seems like small potatoes.
Yeah, it seems like you're pretty adamant on that issue because she talked about this, that you kind of felt the same way last year too.
Yeah,
when she told you
I
this.
think it has it has the opportunity to be managed better. I think somebody with the knowledge to do so should look into it and kind of step up to the plate and make sure it's done correctly, because it's federal standards, not just the city. But I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ryan. Neighbor.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, neighbor.
Okay, any other visitor comments?
Hi, my name is Shauna Harrison. And I just wanted to talk real quick. I know you guys already deliberated at 6 o'clock over Furlock Park. But I
No,
just,
we're getting ready to.
or you're going to deliberate over it, but you guys already took public comment on that. It's our official comment for the public hearing. But I'm just going to make a comment. It doesn't have to be on record. So it would be beneficial to our community as it continues to amend zoning to accommodate businesses and growth that livability and infrastructure becomes the forefront. Furlock Park Boulevard has become a well-traveled road during commuter hours due to backup from Gable to Millard. Anybody that's commuting into town is well aware of that from 3 to 6. It can get a little backlogged there. There's a sidewalk across from Dollar Tree. Why would it be optional for a residential property that you are rezoning commercial to put in a sidewalk? There are sidewalks surrounding this property. To allow this development to rezone commercial and not make the improvements to support just continues to deteriorate the flow and livability of the area and the people in the neighborhood. It would be beneficial for all of us, especially when rezoning property for businesses, to make sure appropriate SDC fees and site improvements are made for the benefit of all in the community that is going to support this business. If I build a new home, I have to build a sidewalk. So that was pretty much it.
So typically the zone change itself doesn't trigger public improvements unless a traffic impact analysis shows that it's necessary to make the zone change take effect. Usually we would look at frontage improvements like sidewalks and stuff as part of the actual development of the site. which would occur after the zone change.
Right. And the development of the site, I understand that aspect of it, but you're not always putting in sidewalks when you guys are approving developments, correct?
It depends. Usually, when it's a fairly substantial, too substantial non-resident development, we require them. For residential, it kind of depends. If it's a subdivision, yes. If it's infill lots, we have some choices. We can require the sidewalk. We can require a fee in lieu of the sidewalk as an option, or we can just require the fee in lieu of. Sometimes, especially on this side of town where we have kind of funky streets, having a sidewalk in the middle of things doesn't make sense because we don't know exactly how the whole system will work. And so we'll require a fee in lieu of for the sidewalk in that place. And what that lets us do is build a pool of money to put sidewalks where they may be particularly needed. But they're usually addressed at some capacity, not always physical improvements, though.
Well, if you walk around any street in St. Helens, it's not uncommon to have a sidewalk and not have a sidewalk and not have a sidewalk and not have a sidewalk, and then have a sidewalk and then there's no sidewalk and then there's a sidewalk and there's no sidewalk. So on this particular piece of property, to the east of it and the highway is a sidewalk. Across the street, a Dollar Tree is a sidewalk. There's currently, I don't even think, a crosswalk there. I could be wrong on that. I don't believe that there is.
I can't think.
I don't think that there is, but I could be wrong on that. Regardless, with the influx of flow there and people and traffic and the Dollar Tree, and you've got lots of walking traffic. I mean, there's a lot more people walking up and down Highway 30. You talk about making multi-use development up on Millard, which is right up the street from this project. And that's going to be an influx of, especially if you guys end up doing something low income, an influx of walking people. So I just think I see a lot of development going on out here. We're going to continue to grow. And I really encourage city planners to take that into consideration for the livability and the walkability of our neighborhoods, because there's a lot of foot traffic going on in St. Helens, whether or just in general.
And staff has been hammered on this issue for the last 11 years. The council's been very adamant about their desire for sidewalks ever since I've been here the entire 11 years. I personally, I think we've been fairly aggressive about it. There's a lot of stuff in the past that we can't change. It was done what was done. But when we get new proposals, we can certainly take it into consideration. And sometimes it's very unpleasant because the applicant puts them in kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Well, it's all comes down to you guys. You guys are the ones that make the call in regards to what you think should be done in these properties when they're being developed. So you guys have all the say in that. So we're really looking to you for our livability here to help make sure that as you make improvements and bring more influx of people here, that you guys are supporting it with infrastructure to support that.
Sure.
Just like of Millard, if you're going to do something up the road there, probably going to have to do something maybe traffic signal wise there besides just a flashing light. Obviously, I understand that's different. That's ran by the highway, Oregon, ODOT, blah, blah, blah. But, the premise is still there, that there just needs to, I know sometimes it can get cut away at the woodwork, especially at this particular property with the setbacks of the creek that runs right by it and everything else. That property is going to get pretty small real quick in regards to development. Yeah. So especially if they're looking at something like a car wash. So I'm sure they're going to look at the most, viable way for people to get in and out. That's a real busy area to be bringing people in and out and not have the proper, sidewalks and curb and everything to, if there was no sidewalk right there on Highway 30, it would be different, but there is. And it goes all the way down past, Millard. So that's just my 2 cents, which I always like to come down and share with you guys. And I always appreciate you listening and being so sweet and nice. And I hope you all stay cool because it's going to be hot this week.
Well said.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Okay. Any other visitor comments? Okay. So now we're going to deliberate comprehensive plan and zone map amendment for Lock Park Boulevard. So I guess I'll start it off. We had a recommendation by the Planning Commission. It fits in the area of rezoning. So there's no red flags there. It's zoned R7 now. It's not going to be a huge impact on houses, potential houses that would have been in there. It's not a significant amount, and I think it just fits. So that's where I'm at with that, listening to the talks earlier.
I think Jacob was very effective in communicating the conditions, the possible conditions of annexation of the corner lot, potentially uniting everything as a commercial endeavor there. And I would like to see that as a promotion, as a somehow worded as a condition. I'd also like to reiterate on the sidewalks, just from our last testimony, from our testimonies earlier on our work session. I think this is a good proposal. I think that if Jacob, if you bird dog this so that we can obviously make it more cohesive on that corner, make that corner safer for transportation, whether it's for high school kids, pedestrians, car traffic, all of that, somehow make that work. I'm very much in favor of this.
Yeah, do you remember when we appealed the county decision because they didn't want to require sidewalks?
Yes.
We have a good relationship now, and the county's really good about talking with us. So for those properties that aren't in city limits, I know it's not, this is a little beyond topic, but they're really good about cooperating, like, yeah, we need the sidewalks. And
I went over there with you when you testified.
Yeah.
And I went over there and listened to that. And the reason that they said that they weren't going to put in a sidewalk on Pittsburgh Road around that corner there was because, maybe possibly there's going to be a sewer line in there somewhere. And why put a sidewalk in when there could be a little sewer that we'll have to tear it up and put a sewer line in and whatever. It was the most bogus kind of rationale I've ever heard for the lack of a sidewalk. And that still burns at my soul for that, because I was so much promoting that sidewalk area and the sidewalk from Foursquare Church around on Pittsburgh Road as well. Same thing happened. And enough is enough. Enough throwing safe passage for pedestrians out the window. So I can tell you from this counselor, you're going to get strong advocacy for transportation system, especially with pedestrians.
I told you we're serious about sidewalks.
Ditto.
Ditto?
I was going to say that. No, I think this is an appropriate rezone, keeping in mind buffers and safe passage.
Yeah, it wasn't part of this hearing, but at the Planning Commission hearing, they did have had quite a bit of dialogue there. So I feel good about the Planning Commission's recommendation and the due diligence that staff has done. And I think that I would like to go along with the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Is that a motion?
Sure is.
A second.
And I appreciate your input on that, Jenny, because you're our liaison. So.
Yes.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve the zone map amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Okay, so there you go. You're rezoned. Yep.
I know it's like not the hearing thing, but just the reason why I made the comment about the buffering and the screening, just my own, something that Jacob shared with me unrelated to this project. The more neighbors work together, the better the
Absolutely.
process is.
Absolutely.
And so if there's a real concern, if everybody's talking to each other everybody's gonna be happy with the outcome. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, ordinance first reading, ordinance number 3228, an ordinance to annex and designate a zone of certain property at 60110 and 60120 Barrack Lane. Okay, ordinance number 3230, an ordinance to amend St. Helens Municipal Code, Chapter 5.3 regarding community impact agreements for retail marijuana-related businesses. So, resolution number 1825, a resolution to appoint a presiding municipal court judge.
I move we adopt resolution number 1825 as read.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to
We're all
approve
eager.
resolution 1825. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approve and authorize for signature. Ratify flowing solutions, terms and conditions for Riverfront Trail technical assistance. B, amendment number 5 to IGA and City of Carlton for communications personnel service. C, commercial lease with St. Helens Alana Club at 215 6th Street. D, contract payments. E, amendment to mineral and access rights.
Are you passing on that or not?
Yeah, I will be. What? Did I pass one, Keith?
Has that been added or?
Yes.
What's it yellowed out for?
Yeah, yeah.
Been added?
It's been added, Keith,
Okay,
yes.
never mind.
E, amendment to mineral and access rights for property located at 700, 900, 1000, 1600, 1800, 1900, and 495.
There's a correction.
Okay.
It's something I noticed. I notified their attorney.
Uh-huh.
700 to 1900 are tax lots that don't exist now that the subdivision's been recorded.
Okay.
So those numbers are irrelevant.
Okay.
It's still 495 Columbia River Highway, but those other numbers
Okay.
are
So amendment
arbitrary.
All right. So amendment to mineral and access property rights located at 495 Columbia River Highway. F, suitatory, quite claim deed to estate of Doris Helen. Oh, is that weird one? Holtz for lot 1, block 67, St. Helens subdivision.
I move we approve and authorize for signature and the 8A through F as read and amended.
Seconded.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve 8A through F as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain. Kathy? I abstain. Okay. Yep. Consent agenda for acceptance. A, library board minutes dated March 20th and March 1st, 2018. B, planning commission minutes dated June 12th, 2018.
Move we accept consent agenda 9A and B.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda A and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Consent agenda for approval. A, animal facility license. B, council work session, executive session, public hearing, public forum, and regular session minutes dated May 16th, June 6th, June 20th, and June 26th, 2018. C, accounts payable bill list.
Move we approve consent agenda for approval, items 10A through C as read.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 10A through C. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Scholl, can I interject,
You
please?
sure can.
So on 8E, well, 8E first.
Yeah, let me get through this. All in favor? The hearing, we all said aye. Hearing none.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, I just need to get through that. Okay, now go ahead.
You want to make sure that you're signing the revised document
Okay.
because this is the one they originally sent, and I notified them that same day, and their attorney
So,
said they
I'll
would
look through it
fix
here.
it.
Yep.
And the other thought on A, on 8, and especially E, is the mayor recused himself on the entire 8A, B, C, D, and F,
Mm-hmm.
where you probably didn't need to.
I didn't need to, but I did it because it was approved anyhow. It was.
Got it.
Then you have most of the documents for you to sign. It would probably be appropriate just for you to recuse yourself out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Got
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then on 8F, we talked about the shed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is.
Subject to,
So that would be, you don't want to make sure that's done before.
Condition.
Yep. So under conditions. So I'm going to reread this. Can we re-vote on this, Kathy?
I'm sorry to raise.
No,
hell.
no, no.
No, you need to.
Okay, I'm gonna face Kathy's wrath.
So,
That was 5 minutes.
see staff recommendations on, should I just put that on F as I'm reading it? As far as, with conditions,
Yeah,
or just write with conditions?
with conditions to resolve the
Shed.
the shed, yeah, and the yard setback issue.
Shed, yard back issue. Okay. So coming back to 8, approve and authorize for signature. A, ratify flowing solution terms and conditions for Riverfront Technical Service Assistance. B, amendment number 5 to IGA with the City of Carlton for communications personal services. C, commercial lease with St. Helens Alano Club at 215 North 6th Street. D, contract payments. E, amendment to mineral and access rights for the property located at 495 Columbia River Highway. F, suitatory quick claim deed to estates of Doris Helen Holtz for Lot 1, Block 67, St. Helens subdivision, with conditions on the shed yard setback. And I will note that I will be abstaining from C as I sit on that board in my vote.
Move we approve and authorize signature items 8, A, B. Do you want to do them separate? Do them all, A, B, D, E, and F. I'm doing the one separate.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That would help out.
second,
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to approve and authorize 8, A, B,
D.
D, E, and F. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we have this C left. If somebody wants to make a,
Move we approve and authorize for signature items 8C, commercial lease with Alano Club.
second,
okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve, authorized and approved for signature 8C.
Discussion?
Yep.
You want to recuse yourself now?
Yeah, I kind of already did.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't hear that?
I
We did
but
it separate
not
on
with this
purpose.
motion.
Yeah, yeah.
I do now.
Yep. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to approve and authorize 8C. All in favor?
aye.
Note that I abstain. Okay, so, moving on to my report. Man, what a good video, good to get a new judge in, good to see Joe get it 20 years with the city of St. Helens, that's huge. You know, you got a good cohesive bunch there, and, it's, good time to be, it's a good, I actually really like this. It's been a really, huge learning curve to this point, but I gotta tell you, I really like, working with you guys, and you guys are, I'm humble, and fortunate to be sitting here, and just be able to learn, and be okay if I make a mistake, I don't make it too badly, because you guys are right on. So I don't have a lot to report on. other than, bottom line is we are getting some stuff done. We are. We're moving forward. To do nothing is not our motto. So we're getting some stuff done. That's all I got. Councilor President Morton.
Good to have a mayor who's passionate about what he's doing and passionate about our city, as we all are. And we want a nice, safe city. We have a fun city, and we're having a lot of fun just looking at that video. And you can tell it in our various departments, especially our police department. And so, hats off to that. One of the things that I'm looking at is in testimonies that people will come forward to testify. I like what they say. They're critical sometimes. Sometimes you get a little fist pounding, and sometimes you get a little name calling, but that's okay. We've got tough skin, and we can deal with that. We've got to learn from what they're saying, and I think we're good listeners, and I think that we respond as well. So I like that. And not only that, you feel the pulse of what the testimonies are, and I find it ironic that we've just been talking about those issues, and we're working on those issues that come forward in front of us, saying, "Hey, what are you going to do about it?" We're all over the top of it, and I appreciate the team play on that with the council, and I appreciate the response of the staff as well as moving forward and keeping in touch with the council. It's a pleasure for me as well to work with this staff and work on this council.
Councilor Khan.
Another statement. I think that we're all working really well as a team, staff and council. Pleased with that. And I wanted to pass on a compliment to the police department, the guys that participated in the video, because one of our citizens told me what excellent production values there were, particularly compared to a lot of the other entries.
It was just cheesy enough.
So please pass that on for me. Or for
We don't hire those guys just because they can shoot straight.
Gotta hold the camera straight,
right? Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Councilor Carlson.
I'm used to going Keith first. Couple of things. On the police video, everybody loved it, but I wish that we could put a disclaimer on it, because I know, because of where I sit, when I look at the ones that people are comparing you to, with the budgets that those departments have and the crews they have, that
Just the
they're
vehicles.
dealing with billion-dollar budgets, and you guys made something awesome with what you had. And I think that just shows incredible heart and incredible commitment to your community, and I just wanted to appreciate that. And then just today, I just got a little blip that it was one of 4 or 5 finalists for a national award. So there's a vote to vote it up out there right now.
Wow.
That because of the KGW thing, it hit the radar for a national thing. So
Personally, I think it's one of the
just
top
for
2.
people to know. The one thing is, I'm so passionate about sidewalks. I am so done hearing moms tell me stories about their children are getting hit by cars. There is no street that doesn't need a sidewalk. That's my mission. It's like, before my kids get old, maybe every street in that town will have a sidewalk. And I just wanted Margaret always comes in. She always is like an overachiever. She's like, with all of her programs at the library, I really appreciate. But I was trying to join a book club, and I was like, where am I going to find a book and read it in 4 days?
Oh, here,
And
we have the answer.
And Margaret connected
Sitting
me
right on her
with
desk.
online book streaming service that's free, that you don't even have to leave your home, don't have to put on your clothes. You just sit there in your pajamas, and you can read a book. And it's like, instead of watching, Netflix, I got halfway through the book that I have a book club meeting for. So, Margaret's there to get people out of a pickle all the time. And I just appreciate how the staff is always so willing to step up to the plate and do something maybe not quite totally in their job description, or, not quite just the everyday, but they're always up to do a little extra.
Yeah.
And I think that shows. I think that's what a small community does more with less. And I just wanted to acknowledge that the staff's getting it done. And the police are just getting cuter every day, or maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know.
The ones that aren't getting their 20-year, they're the ones.
There.
Counselor Locke.
I'm just glad to see Jenny sign up for like a 40-year term here. She's going to fix all the sidewalks in town.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Before my kids are old, I'm gonna make my kids do it. They're gonna be out there with shovels.
Oh, it's really
That's all I got.
It's really tough though when you have some county thoroughfares like Sykes and Pittsburgh that you can't, you know. Yeah. So.
Well, I didn't say anything then, but I mean, yeah, we're talking about the hospital property and what goes on there, and Furlock one day will be a road to that area. So, yeah, we need to make that drivable.
Everybody come out and see Keith on Friday at the fair.
Yeah.
What are you
Come to
doing
the
up?
Fair Friday, I'll be charging you $5 to get park your car.
Oh, you working the front door?
Well, I'll be paying you $5 because I'm going to be at a booth there
You know,
Friday.
I just gotta state this that I don't think whoever's listening, but just so everybody knows here that, man, Stan is such a nice guy. Stan's Refrigeration. He donates a lot of ice, and he let the cat out of the bag because I introduced him to Counselor Carlson, and he's donating to our youth council on their events now. He goes, "Oh, those 5 bags or 6 bags we were grabbing, that's nothing." He goes, "I'll be donating 2,000 bags to 4-H alone, at a minimum,
Wow.
this week. Probably more because of
those
the
rabbits
heat.
cool.
Probably more. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he
Yeah.
donated to the concerts I had out here all the time, and 13 nights and a lot of things. And Red Apple does too. Or
And he's
I do.
constantly doing stuff like that because I talked to his staff out
If
there.
you get tired of Stan, go
Yeah.
grab Josh at Red Apple. He'll give you ice too.
If I can't get a hold of Stan.
Fire up the North Pole. He had a hand in that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, staff reports. Lieutenant Hogue, interim chief.
I don't know if this is the right forum. I'm kind of learning this as I go here. So I wanted to revisit the county firearms range, which if we go back a few chiefs ago, Keith probably remembers this with Chief Salee, there was an issue that came up with the plant that's next to it. And so we want to kind of revisit that if we can, because agencies are using it, and we think that different precautions have been taken by the plant. So we want to kind of, I don't know who has the signatures or the last person to kind of talk about that. It's been a long time, so
Has been, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I talked to Chief Miller from Scappoose PD, and he's actually went to a bunch of presentations by the plant, and to talk about how safe it is now, and I guess the changes. He's offered to come talk to the council about that. So it'll be a big stressor off of us if we didn't have to drive to Clatskanie anymore to train. So maybe we can talk about that again. And
Was that maybe the insurance company?
I think it was.
yes, it was. My understanding, it was our insurance company at the time said, well, if I'm paraphrasing.
There's some
obviously.
liability there, yeah.
Yeah, so go somewhere else type of thing. But
So it's the insurance company we need to convince.
yes,
So let's bring that fellow in.
okay.
See what he has to say. Maybe we can put that on our agenda
Chris.
sometime.
That'd be Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, and this did come up once. I know that Chief Moss did bring it up once. We were talking about down at Boise if maybe we could make that where they put the.
It was on the lime pad, and you wouldn't want to step on there right now. It's not
No.
a very good site.
So obviously, yeah. So it's definitely. And he expressed how apparently it was a gas or something that.
Chlorine, and so are there enough sensors at the range? And there wasn't really an incentive for the county to put up and spend money on sensors just so we could go, and there wasn't necessarily incentive for the plant to do it so the St. Helens Police Department could go use the range. But from what Chief Miller was saying, that just in time that there's been some changes that there's always going to be, of course, risk and liability anytime you have firearms training, of course, but other than that, we think that some changes have been made. So
Well, let's bring Chief Miller and Chris
Okay.
in.
I imagine some changes have been made out there. They got penalized very healthy out there for about $250,000. So for the leak they had back in 2015, and that may have been actually what spiked that whole thing right there.
No, it was before that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's about the perfect time. So we'll definitely. It's good thing you're here today. So.
Came on council.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sue.
Congratulations on 20 years to Lieutenant Hogue. I don't have anything.
Okay. Jacob. What's new in your world?
Got another 80 lot subdivision
Do ya?
sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
So another subdivision for Shauna to make sure we're doing the right thing on.
Sidewalks.
Let me guess, it's over on the Pittsburgh Peninsula.
It's by the DMV. That property where that mountain of dirt is at.
Yeah.
Ah, somebody just asked me about that.
Yeah.
When is the next meeting for the alternate corridor?
Actually asked me how many.
Whatever you call that transportation plan.
The next public meeting?
Yeah.
I would have to look at my timeline. I think it's approximated. I don't think it's determined pinpoint.
Okay. You said what, sneaking up on me.
Is that an out-of-state developer?
Well, the developer is Ken Leahy out of Cornelius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to build the houses.
Just develop the infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah, get the lots so someone can build.
What is the name of that subdivision that's proposed to come?
Well, it was called Red Leaf. This is a subdivision that was actually pre-recession. And it was approved when I got here, and then it expired like a lot of developments because the Great Recession hit.
Yeah.
And it was bank owned for a long time, and Ken was working with the bank, and then he ended up with it, and then he wasn't sure if some corporate big boxes wanted it or if he was just going to resurrect this residential subdivision. He got tired of dealing with the corporate bureaucracy, and so he's pushing ahead with the residential subdivision, which is going to be set up for attached single-family dwellings. So you're going to have a series of small, skinny lots, and then a couple of larger commercial lots.
Okay.
So, saying that and thinking of the future, because one of these days there are going to be some big box stores drifting out this direction. Do we have areas for that, or are they going to go to Scappoose?
That's one issue we have is large commercial lots. We have some, but I know one we have has some stuff cooking on it. But that's one, I think, land supply problem we have. We have plenty of industrial property. Of course, industrial is the best for tax base.
Yes.
But for big box, some of those properties that are eligible are starting to get
Bubbled up.
cut up for residential. This one, case in point.
That's something maybe we need to put on our radar. Think about.
Yeah, it's too bad they
You guys.
couldn't find somebody there to step up, because I know it was talked to Walmart, all kinds of rumors floating around. But
Yeah, I don't want to spread new rumors.
yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the latest thing in my world.
All right. Thanks. Margaret.
I gave all of you a stack of paper, and I won't belabor it, but the larger sheets are different adult library programs that are happening in late July and August, and I'll just refer those to your reading, and maybe you'll join us for some of those. The smaller items that you have are, one of them is called Meet Libby, and that's the latest app for our ebooks and audiobooks that you can actually go to the App Store and find this and put this on your phone or your tablet, and it's really easy to use. And I know some people say they don't like to read books on their phone, but I downloaded the app and got a 4-chapter preview of a book that I was interested in, and it just zipped right by. It was real easy to use and real easy to read. The other item is we got a subscription for digital magazines. So that's the RB Digital bookmark that I left with each of you. So if you want to read magazines through this mobile app, again, you have to have a library card. So if your library card is expired, we'll be happy to get you updated or get you a new one if you have mislaid yours. If you are a non-resident, as I am, and you have to pay an annual fee for your library card, we now have a quarterly card for $10. So if you're just want to try out some of these things before you commit to an annual fee, you can try a quarterly card for $10. And we're marketing that particularly to kids that are out of school and don't have access to their school libraries if they happen to be non-residents. There's another thing that happened at the library recently that was a lot of fun. Kathy was going to pop up some Facebook pictures for me, but I guess we'll have to save those for another time. But Gretchen had the second annual stuffed animal sleepover, and this was an event where young children came for a story time in the evening and brought their furry friend, and they all got tagged so we knew who they belonged to. But what happens is the children have a story time and they leave their stuffed animal behind, and then Gretchen and Crystal take pictures of what the stuffed animals did while the kids were asleep. And they published a book, and then in the morning the kids come back to get their stuffed animal, and there's a whole story about what happened with their stuffed animals. And I have to tell you, Gretchen and Crystal are pretty creative. But the stuffed animals sat at the computers and got some bedtime music downloaded from Freegal. They actually got a little hungry, so they went to Burgerville to the drive-up window. We've got a blue teddy bear ordering at Burgerville. And they, of course, had a story. Some of them got into the copy machine and climbed onto the bed of the copier and did some kind of rowdy pictures on the copy machine. And it says, we were starting to get sleepy, so we made sure everyone who had teeth brushed them before bed. So we have an alligator in the sink in the kids' bathroom getting its teeth brushed by a baby dog. Oh, there we go. Flash through a few of these. They're pretty choice. They're getting ready to go to Burgerville. They figured out how to drive with a cooperative effort there. There's the Burgerville order. They got back to the library to have their dinner. They figured out how to use the phone, call someone to let them know they had books, even learned how to do checkout, emptied the book drop. I love the sloth with the long arms. He can reach everything. There's the copier shenanigans. And there's listening to some Freegal downloads. And they met Dot and Dash, our robots, and had a story time. Played some of our games, cooked some s'mores.
That's very
There's
cool.
a teeth brushing. And got a drink of water. Anyway, there's Gretchen giving them a final story before bedtime.
Very cute.
And it's 37 kids came to this. It's extremely popular, and the ones that miss out always want to say, well, be sure and tell me next year so can come. So it doesn't quite rank up there with lip syncing at the police department. We try in our own way.
Thank you, Margaret.
Hey, John, can I request a transfer?
Yeah.
Fuzzy animals.
Matt.
Yeah, which one?
I'm filling in for Kathy. She had to leave.
Yeah.
For saying. So I only have one thing that I wanted to bring up that I just got emailed to me in between our meetings. A while ago, when we started talking with the Eisenschmidt Pool, the Greater St. Helens Park and Rec District, to kind of help encourage them to make that name change, I threw out the possibility of that the city may help in some way of the transition. That may be something of getting new letterhead, getting new T-shirts for staff with the new name, those kind of things. I got an email for a proposal from Ann at the pool requesting those funds and a kind of a list of items of a few other things. And that amount that she is requesting for assistance is $4,500 from the city, as well as possibly $2,000 more if by chance there needs to be a special election for the name change. That is a possibility after they have a public hearing if someone contests it and it actually does have to go to a vote. Normally they would just be able to do a public hearing and then a vote is kind of a normal process. But if it gets contested and needs to go through an actual vote to the public, that would have to be a special election, which the clerk has quoted kind of around $2,000 for that cost. So that's a potential cost if it gets to that point. But they have requested $4,500.
So was that around, how does that line up with the amount that you had in mind?
I was thinking it was going to be around 3 or 4, so it's not that far off. Are things like any kind of new signage that is needed, T-shirts for staff, letterhead. I'm blanking on some of the other items because I don't have my email in front of me.
So right now their shirts say Eisenschmidt Pool, Greater.
I think it
St.
says Greater St.
Parks and Rec. Okay.
Yeah, correct. And they have about 30 staff, I think, and I guess Ann supplies them with like 3 or 4, or I think even maybe 5 shirts a person because they work multiple days, so you don't want to wear the same shirt every day at the pool. So
I would be in favor of that.
I think it shows goodwill
Yes.
for them making them effort and
Yeah.
in going through this process that they probably normally would never go through.
Although we just gave them $18,000 off their water bill.
Yeah.
But
Well,
8,000.
no.
saying.
No,
8,000.
not.
Tell
no,
me,
no.
tell me
8,000.
again
It
what the
wasn't-
name is.
It just got popped on them too.
I believe it was Greater St. Helens Pool and Recreation. They removed the parks name from the application. Or Aquatics and Recreation. Was that it? Was it Aquatic? Okay, yeah, that could be right. No, I believe you're right. It was Aquatics. Our main purpose was to get parks out of the name.
Yeah.
Since they're beginning to partner with us a little bit more with the recreation program and some activities that we have coming up in the future with them, I don't personally have an issue with the recreation side because they're starting to partner with us and join and doing some more programming. So I personally don't have an issue with that name change.
Is it going to be spelled out on the for tax on the
My understanding is that it will change the name that shows up on the tax roll.
Okay,
on
not
the
just the
property tax
initials, because
statement.
that'd still be.
That is my understanding. I'm happy to confirm that though for sure.
Why don't they go aquatic park?
Yeah.
That's what doesn't make sense to me. 'Cause that's really what they would be, even if because they don't really have a park right
Or
now. But
aquatic center.
If we were to work with them, and we plan on doing that, and when it comes up, that park could ever be expanded into the aquatic park, and the city still owns that, and we're in talks and we're working together.
I think that's part of the reason of why they kept the recreation part is because of that Civic Pride Park next door, which they still do have ambitions of taking that over and putting a splash pad and a whole kind of water park-ish kind of thing over on that side.
But aquatic center could incorporate that anyway.
It could. I think they were looking for something that was close to what it was originally, but not.
Well, for
drastic
spending this
change.
money, I would just like to be it to be open on the table. You know, maybe send that Council Express that maybe look at other
Is there a,
Give
is
us
there a
3
names-
options.
Great.
I mean, I just
So-
don't understand why we're wanting to keep it so close to what it was when we're going through this whole process, is I guess where I'm confused. I mean, really, it should be called the Eisenschmidt Pool District.
Right?
Because that's what it is.
I'm
But-
happy to
but
take
if they
that
wanna
back
call it an
to the pool
aquatic
manager and the
center-
board, and maybe if it's an item that you want to discuss at a public meeting, or if it's something that maybe 2 counselors can come and meet with a couple people from their board and Ann and talk about this idea, kind of like
'Cause we're gonna
ad
be
hoc committee,
I
so to
think
speak.
we can still be absorbing. Everybody knows this. We just absorbed that park part of their Parks and Rec, and people are like, "What the heck? Why do our parks look like this?" I think to keep that rec and us potentially doing a rec program, not potentially, we are doing a rec program.
Still confusing.
Still confusing. Yep.
Now they're going to think that tax money is going for
Yes,
the
I
recreation
paid
program.
for that rec program that the city's maintaining. Dang it.
So,
They're not doing it right.
so just for clarification, I did come back to you guys, I think it was a few months ago, with that name change.
Yes, you did.
And you
Mhm.
said it was okay.
Yes,
So
we
I
did.
told
Well, it
them it
was
was
better.
okay. Yes, we agreed it was better than what it was. If you want to refurbish those discussions, I'm happy to.
Well, this with all the
to do that.
possible litigation and the cost, because it was a little bit more than we anticipated to help them out. We definitely, I think it's definitely worth, and that's the reason we're asking.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that something?
Part of our negotiation.
Is that something you guys would like me to just kind of get some ideas of what name changes you guys would like and bring that to the board? We don't have to go through it now. So I can just email you individually and say, hey, what kind of name changes were you thinking of? And then I can email that to board, or would you like to create some kind of ad hoc little small committee to go over there and meet with them?
Well, you seem to be having success.
So far, I mean, to some extent that, I just gave them an $18,000
Already
water
on
bill.
their agenda for their board meeting, because I wanted to meet with Mr. Forsyth, who's chairman of the board, and Mr. Nemi to talk about, and I talked with you about this, to talk about the potential of a special district, formation of a special district where we're all inclusive. We are St. Helens, the Greater St. Helens Parks and Rec, which could include the school district, which could encompass Eisenschmidt Pool along with our parks and B1. But that's, as we talked about, that can get very complicated. I know I talked to Keith about it, and it's very complicated with the way we both thought about it. Just we were brainstorming. But for me, it's a good fix for our parks and recs, and could be extremely well funded. So that's my direction.
You did talk to me a little bit about that too, Doug. I was just afraid that the cost of a pool is the cost of a pool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge dollar amount, and to have that wrapped around a Parks and Rec program and absorb that into it, because it costs a lot. They go. I bet their budget's probably over 600 with their income.
Their budget, I think, is about $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
Yeah, so
I
that's
think
their-
right.
Yeah, so $500,000. That's a chunk of change. We pay 300. And what's our budget for parks? Just maintenance and bathroom is about 3-something.
But they have no problems raising that money and getting that money. And because their district is not just our city, it's encompassed in a wider direction. As a matter of fact, it mimics the school district. And that's where I'm thinking that this is going to pay huge dividends. They have it all in place. What we could do is piggyback with what they've got. They're the ones who are, in a sense, unless we provide some carrots, to lose in the whole thing, because they've got a sweet, sweet deal. And if we start to go out for a special district, we're going to have to start from ground zero.
Well, if
we piggyback with them, then it means that their $600,000 and what we have with our budget could both be combined.
If you
there
want
you
to
go.
talk, I see that as a long-term possibility, but right now, if you want to talk about a recreation program, you have to include our other partners,
That's right.
St. Helens School District.
Oh, without a doubt.
And so those conversations should be happening with them, I would think,
Well, the
before
school
going
dis-
to the
yeah,
special
school
district.
would be the district that you would
Yeah,
be
I-
the funding district, not this, not just the city. Why have our city taxpayers pay for for a recreation program that encompasses so many others outside our city?
I think
Not
That's an
arguing with
unfair-
that, saying that it would be fair to talk to our partners
Yeah,
before
the
we
cart's
do that.
Well, obviously.
cart's
I
ahead of
mean,
the horse
There's a
type
lot
deal
of
right now.
talks that have to take place. It's just a concept. It's just an idea. It isn't a plan. So that's the whole issue.
At least everybody's passionate about it. Right, Matt?
I think we all want the special
Yes, we
district.
all want the same thing.
Right.
It's
We all
just
want
a
the
matter
same
of
thing.
how we get there.
Yes.
Right.
Anything else, Matt?
So I never got any kind of clear direction. Do you want me just to email you guys and you guys
Yes.
email me
Yeah,
names?
yeah, yep.
And
I'm sorry,
then
it's getting late. and
as
it's
we
a
have
day.
more
I
discussions,
think we're
maybe
all
we
getting
can
hangry
create
or
that
something.
create that ad hoc.
Yeah. Oh, they met with us earlier. They were actually here. No, not in a bad way, in a good way.
meeting.
Yeah, very good way. Yep.
Okay, I'm good then.
Okay.
Yep.
John.
So I wanted to make mention of Chief Moss's send-off last night, and it was moving and well-attended, and
Very nice.
special thanks to all the people that were there and helped make that happen. And it was really a nice event and well-deserved. Earlier we had a gentleman come in, or a few people talking about the dock use regulations, and it was really coincident that I had a draft of the dock use revision regulation sitting right here that I was gonna, not quite ready for prime time, but it's
that close.
It's in play.
Yeah.
And the stories he shared about what's going up in Ross Island and Portland, a couple weekends ago, I put the boat in up by Willamette Falls and went down the Willamette River, came through Portland, and all the cities, Milwaukee and Lake Oswego, just puddled, motored down the river, and you get down to Ross Island, and just something kind of apocalypse now kind of feeling kind of comes over. It's kind of really depressing and stagnant of this section if you go through it, and it's just people just hanging out on boats anchored all over the place just by the scores. And as you motor through it and get past it, and it's open again, and it's happy people, and it's nice, and it really has an impact on communities, and everything. I agree with everything they were saying about the problem, the economic impacts related to it. It's a big deal. We're certainly taking that seriously and trying to come to some resolution, but it is a pretty complex issue with people that don't have. It's a homeless issue, really, on the water. It's what do you do? So earlier I talked about this St. Helens, our application for this federal grant and the economic impacts related to it, and it's due tomorrow. We've actually submitted it today. It's in play. I'll send it out. But if successful, and what I think is really going to be the key to I hope we'll really have good feelings about this, but if it is successful, it'll be because of the partnerships we've developed with this developer and the economic impacts related to that. Because on its own, just having this hope that we build boardwalks and street extensions and hope it would come, it's a good proposal, but it's not quite as real as when you have somebody that we're exclusively negotiating with that, and it takes this $15 million ask up to a over $200 million benefit. So it's a big deal, and I hope it goes well. So I think it will. So. That's it.
Okay. Any last minute comments? Any do-overs? We're adjourned.
Go Homers.
Yeah.